Okay, here we go. Hello, my name is King underscore Joey92. It's like King, you know what I mean? Like kangaroo, like K-A-N. I mean, you're gonna see it on the YouTube thing. It doesn't matter. You're gonna see it. Okay, but anyways, um, this video that I'm like about that I posted today is a reaction video. It's like this Turkey Tom video about this creep who likes touching animals. It's just me just like going on like a whole fucking rant about how gross he is and how he should probably kill himself. Hope you enjoy the video. Thank you very much.
Some feel it's their responsibility to destroy the stigma that surrounds them.
Like those like
To
those
some,
predators that wanted to join the LGBTQ plus, like the pedos. They made a flag. They made a pedo flag for being pedos because they're pedos. Bunch of fucking disgusting human beings.
described cross-species activists who go by the online aliases Toggle the Rat
Tuggle the Red wants to fuck children and horses.
and Fausti, decided to lead the charge, culminating in the creation of the pro-zoophilia podcast Zooier Than Thou. The contents of this podcast, while disturbing, are only the tip of a seemingly endless iceberg. Drug smuggling, theft,
Damn.
violence, prison sentences,
Mm.
and countless instances of animal cruelty are only a few words.
They were.
Now, our story begins with Fausti, whose real name is Douglas Spink. The majority of the information available about Doug comes from a book titled Uniquely Dangerous. Written by Corrine Maloney, Uniquely Dangerous is a 366-page biography that takes an almost apologetic perspective on zoophilia.
Ugh.
Primarily sourced by Douglas Spink himself, it is possible that any fact about his life is masked with a certain level of dishonesty.
Ugh.
And thus, a lot of the information
That's the face of someone who fucks animals. Look at it. Unshaven beard. He's given up on impressing humans. He knows what he wants. He gets horny. He gets horny when he sees your golden retriever wagging its tail. Look at that guy. Dead eyes. He's either a predator or a fucking serial killer.
presented should be taken with a grain of salt. Regardless, there is a lot of information here that gives a good insight into Doug's early life, and will help us understand just what made him so depraved. Douglas Brian Spink was born on March 17, 1971, in Harmony, Pennsylvania. He was raised
Harmony, Pennsylvania, where he fucked them animals.
alongside his older sister, Joy, in the suburb of Fox Chapel, a notably wealthy neighborhood that was also home to well-known child entertainer Mr. Rogers.
Oh shit, the goat. Neighborhood, it's a beautiful day to be a neighbor.
Doug claims to have come from
The
humble
goat.
beginnings, but this is simply not the case. His father worked as a salesman for a construction company, and his mother had inherited a small fortune from her late
A small fortune so that her son could fuck them animals.
grandfather. His father, Jack, was described by his family as a manipulative sociopath
Manipulative sociopath that taught his son to fuck them animals.
who often took pleasure in winning people over. He supposedly used the skill of manipulation to entice a handful of mistresses during his marriage. To no one's
Damn.
surprise, this habitual infidelity led the rest of the family to resent Jack, finding solace with each other, as well as the family's pets and livestock.
That's where his animal fucking came from. He got a little too comfortable with the dog. He's playing pocket rocket with it, giving it a red rocket.
The Spink family residence was also home to a wide plethora of animals, with more common
Animals that he got attracted to because he wanted to fuck them.
pets like cats and dogs, to more
His cats and dogs got raped and fucked on multiple occasions. You can tell.
unorthodox.
He P Diddy the animals. It's not that's the Diddy barn.
Growing up around so many different creatures, it was only natural that Doug fostered a deep love for them as he grew up. In particular, he developed an affinity for horses,
That's the first animal he fucked.
spending a lot of time on horseback throughout his neighborhood. Whenever he wasn't in the barn, he enjoyed studying and reading books, often choosing to do his homework instead of playing with other children.
Yeah, 'cause he was in the barn fucking them animals.
Despite being an extremely intelligent child, he found human beings to be confusing and
'Cause he wanted to go fuck them animals.
preferred the company of animals. Because of his emphatic passions, poor social skills, and his at the time undiagnosed autism,
Autism that made him want to go fuck them animals.
Doug was supposedly singled out by his peers and
Singled out 'cause he was fucking them animals.
relentlessly bullied, even by his
Bullied 'cause he was fucking them animals.
own sister, who gave him the nickname of Pony Boy.
Pony boy fucked them animals. His sister knew what he was on. He's seen the look in them eyes at an early age.
In a forum post made in 2008, Doug reflected on how he learned to deal with the bullying he faced. Having been
By fucking them animals.
picked on mercilessly for years in school for obvious reasons, freak, dog boy, smells like horseshit,
Yeah, because he was fucking them animals in the barn.
etc. In middle school, I just decided that I didn't care if people hated me. I'd carry on with my life, do my thing, try to be nice to
Do your thing and fuck them animals.
people around me, read books, and enjoy life as best I can.
Read books about fucking them animals.
The strangest thing was that once 8, Doug claims to have been molested by an older family friend while spending a few days at
Molested by an older family friend, that's why he started fucking them animals.
his house. Doug rationalized this traumatic experience, believing it was actually the older man's pet python who escaped its cage and violated him. This belief likely brought him
Bro got violated and decided to start fucking them animals.
comfort in dealing with his trauma, as Doug preferred animals, both socially and sexually. And this
Yeah, cause he was tracked to that python when it oh that's fucked up, that's rape, that's fucked up, I can't go there.
is where things are going to get a lot darker, because even from a young age, Doug was abusing animals. In his own words,
I fucking told you he was fucking them animals at a young age. That's where he learned it. That's the Diddy barn. He was touching them cows and dogs in the Diddy barn.
his first intimate relationship
Bro was the OG oil stacker. Bro had more oil than the dealer himself. Bro was Diddy's supplier. He was on making the homemade oil over there, playing pocket rocket with the horses and sheeps.
was with a golden retriever
Oh my fucking told you. I told you that shit. I told you he was fucking them dogs. I fucking told you he was playing pocket rocket. He's playing. Oh, dude, I fucking told you.
lived in the neighborhood. In a forum post uploaded sometime in the late 2000s, Doug described his routine in courting the animal. My first true love was a golden who lived a few miles away. We spent many, many cold nights together. I'd sneak out, go let him out of his kennel. He was locked up
So he can go fuck them animals.
outside 24/7, 364, and we'd get frisky and then just cuddle under a tree or bush for hours.
Ugh.
Until at last, I had to return him to his kennel, walk back home, sneak into the house, and sleep for an hour or two before school. I tried as hard as anyone can try anything to be normal for years. My secret zoo side was known by nobody, and I did everything possible to stamp it out so I could lead a good life.
Oh my
Needless
God.
to say, looking down the barrel of a lifetime spent to someone who is by definition despised, attacked, potentially prosecuted, and perhaps
You deserved to. You were fucking them animals, dude. You were touching that triever. Damn, bro. He diversioned the triever, dog. Come on.
sent to a mental institution in the old days isn't exactly motivation to bring out the zoo in anyone. I really felt if I couldn't get it under control, then my life was worthless and why bother?
Bro's worse than Judy Hopps-Liver. At least Judy Hopps-Liver isn't actually out here fucking animals. This guy is.
Hence the multiple suicide attempts in my
I'm not gonna feel bad for this guy. He's literally raping animals.
teen years, heavy involvement in bleeding edge soloing as a rock climber, etc. If, in fact, something in my
Right? He was rock climbing to get to them goats so he can fuck them animals.
childhood flipped the switch somehow, I'm nevertheless quite sure that the switch is essentially impossible to switch back. Despite these troubling behaviors, Doug continued
Yeah, it is. It's called going to fucking therapy. You fucking retard. Instead of fucking them animals, you should have been figuring out. Well, I mean, what time period was this?
to
Probably
flourish
This had to be in like the 80s or 90s. So I mean, yeah, okay, never mind.
in his academic endeavors, so much so that he was given the honor of delivering the scholar speech at his high school graduation. He then began studying at Reed College, where he earned a bachelor's degree in anthropology
So he could fuck them animals.
before attending the University of Chicago, where he received his master's in business administration. During his time in the Windy City, he got a job working for a dog breeder, a woman named Judy, who he eventually married in 1994. Judy Slayton,
So he can have easy access to them animals.
who was 22 years older than Doug, had 4 kids of her own. Originally intending to continue his collegiate career with the hopes of earning a Doctor of Law degree, he chose to enter the workforce to help support his new family.
Okay.
Doug's efforts in school paid off greatly, as he was able to get a job at Boston Consulting Group with a base annual salary of $135,000.
30,000 of which he used to fuck them animals.
The following year, he landed an executive position at Safeguard Services, a credit card fraud insurance company. This was relatively short-lived,
Okay.
however, as the company's shady business practices actually compelled Doug to become a whistleblower. After his time with Safeguard came to an end,
Okay,
he began
W.
pursuing his own personal business ventures, founding Timberline Direct in 1996, which managed various catalog brands specializing in sporting equipment and supplies. Doug spent the next few years operating these catalogs before selling them for over $5 million to a sporting goods chain called G.I. Joe's. And Doug's story could have and should have ended here.
Mhm.
At 27 years old, he had earned a life-changing fortune and should have been mature enough to realize his relationship with animals was unhealthy for both parties.
Dude, he is an animal fucker. He got touched as a kid. He got diddled. Once you get diddled, all you're gonna do is find other ways to diddle the others. It's an endless cycle. You associate the diddling with a positive thing at that point, or it's so negative that you just like it's like a cope. That's fucked, dude. Bro got diddled and started diddling those poor puppies.
Unfortunately, this wasn't the case, as Doug's story was only just beginning. With his wife and stepchildren, he moved into a home on an 82-acre plot of land in the
82 plot, 82 acre plot of land where he kept his animals that he fucked.
small town of Gaston, Oregon. The couple
Gaston, where he fucked them Gaston, them Gaston Bengal tigers.
began work at Timberland Retrievers and Timberland Farms, two companies that focused on the breeding and training of dogs and horses, respectively. The latter
He was he was breeding with them dogs.
in particular received worldwide acclaim for their exceptional roster of Grand Prix show jumping horses and their valuable seed. One horse that stood out from the rest was Capone, a black stallion with 3 white socks, regarded as one of the world's best show jumpers. Doug apparently loved Capone in particular for more than his remarkable
He was fucking that horse. That horse was learning those moves from him. Why do you think he was such a good jumper? He was jumping around to get the hell away from him. Look at that horse's eyes. That is an abused horse. It is begging for help. Look at it.
skills, regarding this horse as the love of his life.
Look how sad that horse looks, bro. He looks miserable. He knows as soon as he gets home, you know where he's gonna be? In his kennel getting fucked.
In a post made to the Blue Light Forums in 2008, a user requested that members write a letter to their significant other. Doug contributed to this thread with a letter almost certainly written to Capone. Dear beloved, thank you for being the best part of my life.
Ugh, that's
It's amazing we
gross.
ended up together, and yet I look back and can't imagine the last 10 years without you. In truth, I can't imagine me without you. Every day
Ugh.
you make me smile and laugh. I never get tired of seeing your face, smelling your
Ugh.
breath. I'd do anything for you, to see you happy and content. The world knows you as a famous superstar. To me, you're just you. The superstar part is there, but not the
Superstar my ass. I don't know who the fuck that horse is. The fuck?
most important thing. Seeing your face every morning is a blessing. I'd never take it for granted. I know I don't always make everything perfect, no matter how hard I try. I also know that you understand, and that you're not upset even when a day goes sideways and
Okay.
nothing seems to go right. Your equipoise and calmness are a lifesaver for me when I'm frazzled and disconnected. I trust you with my
Ugh.
life. I love you beyond belief. I
Ugh.
dread the thought of ever losing you, and can't imagine
This is
going
worse
on
than
when
that
you are
guy who
gone.
fucks his
Our life
car.
together is a fairy tale. I don't ever want it to end. I want to bottle up the love and keep it on a shelf to have forever. I know that's not very Buddhist, and I know you think it's silly, but it's how I feel. My world revolves around you. Doug
Ugh.
specifically targeted male dogs and horses when courting his
Ugh.
victims. This
So he was like a gay animal rapist? Come on, man. We already got it hard enough. Last thing we need is a fucking the last thing we need is like another Diddy but for animals. Bro's out here diddling animals. Come on, man. We already got it rough. We don't need you around here.
This is likely because, despite being married to a woman, he was actually homosexual,
Knew
although
it.
he only had a slight interest in human males. These hidden details of his sexuality slowly eroded his 6-year marriage from the inside out, yet Doug had no intentions of admitting nor confiding in his wife about these issues.
His wife
That's
was a
not to say,
mere.
however, that she wouldn't eventually find out the truth. Sometime in the late 90s, a supposed reformed zoophile outed Doug to his community,
That's
creating
crazy.
dossiers regarding his behavior and posting them online. As a result, anytime someone searched the name of Douglas Spink, they would bear
Ugh.
witness to his despicable and heinous crimes. In a
Ugh.
sense, this public outing was a liberating moment for Doug. Struggling with suicidal ideation and self-hatred his whole life due to these factors, he now had nothing to hide and learned to accept himself for who he was. This
Ugh.
ultimately improved his outlook on both the world and himself.
He should have
In
been
a forum
fucking
post
shot.
uploaded
He was
on
there
May
raping these
15th,
animals.
2008, Doug reminisced on this pivotal moment. For most of my life, until my mid-20s, this side of me was absolutely, totally, completely, entirely hidden. From
Should have
everyone,
stayed fucking hidden,
forever.
you
I lived my
weirdo.
life in utter and total fear that I'd be found out. Every sexual encounter was a potential disaster.
Ugh.
Every feeling I had for my partners had to be hidden.
Your partners, these are unwilling partners. These are fucking animals, dude. These are not your partners. You are raping these animals, you fucking weirdo, you creep. You like disgrace of a human being. You're touching a golden retriever, man. You know golden retrievers are some of the sweetest fucking dogs you'll ever meet. What is wrong with you? You absolute piece of human garbage.
And denied around others.
Fucking
That kind of life
freak.
really fucks up your mind. I had major issues with depression and every other bad thing I can think of. I had all but a split personality at some level. I was one person inside
Oh
and a
my
totally
God.
different person on the outside. But after I was outed and my worst fear had come true, I slowly came to see it as a blessing and not a
Ugh.
curse. If I wasn't doing anything horrible in my zoo life, and I really don't think I am in an objective sense, then why am I so ashamed of it? Why did I hate
Cause
that
you
side
should
of
be
myself
ashamed of
so
you're
much?
fucking an animal. You're raping a fucking horse, man. A male horse at that. What is wrong with you, dog? fucking freak. You freak of nature. Ugh.
It's been a long, slow, challenging process to unpeel these layers of denial and
Peel
lies
these
and
layers.
dishonesty and instinctive hiding. A big part of it is
Why
involved
are you
forcing
proud?
myself
Why do they always go proud? Why do these fucking creeps always go proud of what they did? You're fucking animals. You should be ashamed of yourself, you fucking freak of nature. I mean, there's nothing else for him to lose. He's right. But dude, like, why did nobody like see this shit and just go beat his ass like in his community? If this was me, if I would have seen this shit and like I would have outed this guy would have been outed. First thing I would have do, it would have been on site, bro. He'd be getting jumped like daily. Bro wouldn't be able to leave the house, and I'd probably like put a post up where his house is, just to remind him not to touch them fucking dogs.
answer questions honestly in public, so I don't backslide into
His
old,
wife's or his son
unhealthy
should
habits
have
of
kicked
thought.
that ass.
This revelation, while supposedly emotionally beneficial for Doug, was the catalyst of a few misfortunes as well. His trial judge title with the American Kennel Club was revoked, and he was forced to shut down his dog breeding operation. This was also the final straw for his wife and sparked the beginning of their
God, she
separation.
fucking left.
They remained married until 2003, with one staying at their mansion in Gaston and the other staying in their smaller farmhouse located 25 miles away in North Plains.
It's probably him because he probably chose the farmhouse so he can keep his animals closer together. So after he gets done with one, he can just go to the next.
During this period of separation, Doug found himself in a legal battle with former associates from one of his businesses, alleging they had converted property and assets without permission, stole corporate opportunities, and breached the terms of their employment contracts. This did not pan out well for Doug, as he was ultimately found liable and forced to pay out $5.7 million
As he
to one
fucking
of the
should.
defendants, a New Jersey businessman named Kit Kung. Just like that, all that Doug had worked for was gone, and he was forced to file for bankruptcy in 2002. No
I'm
longer
glad he lost everything. He's fucking animals. He's touching the children. Well, he's not touching children. He's touching animals. But like, same fuck. You know what? Same concept. Fuck this guy. He's a piece of shit.
capable of affording his home loan payments, a close friend and
He
business
probably was touching children too. They probably just don't know it yet.
associate, Paul Peterson, purchased the mortgage and allowed Doug to continue living there, under the condition that he paid rent. Despite this agreement, he made no effort to contribute financially, which led the house to be foreclosed on after Peterson ceased making payments. Despite the kindness shown by Paul, Doug resented him and blamed him for becoming homeless. When the house was eventually purchased by new owners, Spink vandalized the property in a fit of rage, breaking windows, punching holes in the walls, and even smearing the home's exterior with dog feces. Facing his pending bankruptcy case, Doug made the decision to flee to Canada in the hopes of starting a new life.
Flee to Canada so he can get a chance to fuck them mooses. He wasn't going to Canada because he was homeless. I'm pretty sure he got all the rats he wanted. he wanted to go try his hand at a moose. That's what it was.
Dodging the repercussions. Before leaving for good, he confronted his wife Judy and requested ownership of his favorite golden retriever, Ryan. His wife initially refused.
Do not give him that fucking dog. He's going to touch it. Keep him away from that animal. Do not give it to him. He's a fucking freak of nature. Why would you put that dog in that situation again? He's being touched by a fucking creep.
But after he threatened to gut her like a fish and hang her
What the fuck? Dude, call the cops. Don't give him the dog.
From a tree, she
Oh my
ultimately
God.
decided to give Ryan back to him.
Dude, no. What the fuck? No. You sold the dog out that for a fucking creep, dude? Send that shit to the fucking feds. Get this creep fucking in jail or something so that they know what the crimes that he committed. So he can get his ass beat. So justice can be carried out.
With his 5 horses and 5 dogs,
Don't let him
Doug
just keep
traveled
fucking
north
these
until he reached
animals.
Pitt Meadows, British Columbia. It was there that he met a woman by the name of Corinne Super.
What, she do
Corinne,
fuck
along
animals
with her
too?
husband Mark were horse trainers, and strangely allowed
Aw,
him to stay in their
dude.
barn with the animals. During
They knew he was fucking them horses, man.
this period, Doug spent a lot of his time on the computer, frequenting numerous forums related to horses,
Ugh.
drugs, Buddhism, and base jumping. Under the monikers D-Dog, Exit Point, and Fausti, Doug made no effort to hide his proclivities,
Ugh.
consistently making references to his 4-legged companions and the sexual nature of
Ugh.
his relationships with them. This open acknowledgement of
Fucking proud creeps, dude. Honestly, these are the worst people in society, man. Holy shit. You see this shit on the internet, like especially on Reddit. Especially on fucking Reddit, dude. Oh my god, these people they're out and they're everywhere. It's like the worst of societies on like Reddit. Well, no, that's 4chan actually. For the 4chan is just like Nazis and pedophiles.
animal abuse on a wide range of forums would make the
Or
name
Nazi
Fausti in
pedophiles.
particular an infamous one. Although almost no archives from this time remain online, as many of the forums he frequented are now defunct. He also created an
Christ.
FAQ on his own personal website, filled with delusional rationalizations of his sick and twisted
Ugh.
behavior. Aren't you ashamed of who you are? No, I'm not. I'm just a simple Buddhist. So
Nah, motherfucker, you did not just claim Buddhists, bro. Buddhists are not fucking animals. They actually they abstain from sex. You fucking creep. Don't you dare claim. Don't you dare fucking claim that religion, you piece of shit. You absolute. Oh, you're so fucking disgusting.
So I don't get to argue that my super being can kick your super being's ass. Instead, my spiritual choice is simple. I try to do what I can to help the world to be a better
Ugh.
place, to minimize suffering.
What, better place by fucking animals? You creep. Why did those people let you stay in the barn where if they knew that you fucked animals? Easy access to those animals' asses. They sold those animals out for what? They probably thought that you knew the method because your horse was so goaded. They were like, you know what? If we let them fuck these animals, maybe our horses will win a couple races every now and again.
And to manifest genuine love. Though I've
Fucking
tried
creep.
and tried, nowhere in there can I figure out where my zooish relations with my boys break the rules. They're happy.
Jewish
I'm
relationships
happy.
with your boy, dude. They're fucking animals. They don't know any better. They're like most of them aren't even as smart as toddlers. You're fucking gross, you piece of shit. Oh my god, this disgusting piece of garbage is. Ugh.
We love each other. End of story. Isn't it abuse? It's simply logically impossible to declare interspecies intimacy to be abuse.
Yeah, it's fucking it's abuse. It's fucking abuse. You're forcing yourself onto an animal. What the fuck do you mean?
While simultaneously admitting that sex within species is not abuse. And that
It's not fucking abuse if the both participants are willing. You fucking creep. Dogs can't give verbal consent, you fucking piece of shit.
many other actions we take on
You
behalf
animal
of
fucker.
or with our non-human companions are not abuse as well. As a friend once commented with a certain flair for poetic imagery, how can it be abuse to lick a dog's balls but not be abuse to cut them off? Oh my.
What the fuck? It's abuse if you cut dogs' balls off in the first place. That's fucked up. That's extremely fucked up. I mean, like it depends on the situation, but like, bro, what are you on?
My god, bro. Oh
What
my
a what a
god.
what a
You
0 out of 10 take. What a 0 out of 10 take. LeBron would not be proud.
wish you were normal? Nope. Doug also spent a
Ugh.
lot of time on a
I
bestiality
mean, you can't be normal anymore. Like you've already been outed as a fucking creep. Where else are you gonna be normal at? Unless you like change your identity and move to a different country. But no, you're poor, so you can't do that. You fucking weirdo. You really sold your entire life so that you can go fuck animals. You creep.
forum aptly named Beast Forum, where he allegedly posted videos of himself with his animals. This behavior led
I wonder if he was posting videos of himself fucking those animals. Had to be like a fucking furry meetup. Well, not furry. I'm not saying. Furries are probably like that.
likely resulted in the police investigating Doug on allegations of animal cruelty.
Hopefully they did.
confiscated his computer, where they found numerous images and videos of him abusing his animals.
Oh my
Though,
god,
if this
dude.
investigation truly did happen, it seems Doug was never charged for anything.
Dog, he was making those horse videos.
While she didn't expect anything at first, it wasn't long until Corinne took note of Doug's
Ugh.
strange behavior and unorthodox philosophies about humans and animals. He refers to people as two-leggers. He says that there was a
Ugh.
four-legged world and there was a two-legged
The
world,
fuck,
and
dude?
he only has use for the four-legged world. The two-leggers are nothing but an inconvenience. The mainstream, the rules, and our society and our culture is based around the two-leggers, and that is not where he belongs. So those rules don't apply to him.
What
He
the
wanted to be with
fuck?
the dogs and the horses. He would always have a very private boundary. He calls it the boundaries. If the barn doors are shut, you do not enter under any circumstance.
No.
He would say,
Those are her barn doors. You're fucking her animals. Why are you letting this man in there after the FBI raided? They raided. They found this shit. They had to have told you what this guy was doing, and you were still letting him sit around and fuck your animals. What is wrong with you, you fucking creep?
do not enter, period. If the barn doors are open, you are somewhat welcome, but you have to announce yourself. Doug claims to have fostered a romantic relationship with the woman as they
He's making demands. He's making demands while he's fucking these animals. What the fuck, dude? No way. That is insanity.
supposedly got engaged sometime in early 2005. though Corinne adamantly denies this as she was already married and was well aware of Doug's homosexuality. Doug always made it very, very clear to me that he was gay. I certainly have it in letters. I have it written that he wanted to be very clear that he wasn't misleading me, that there would be no chance of any kind of a romantic thing with him, that he enjoyed my friendship very much. I think he called me a beacon of light in a very tough time for him, and he welcomed
You
my
should not have
friendship
been
and
there.
my
What the fuck is
enthusiasm
wrong
with
with you? The
horses,
dude
and he
fucks
enjoyed my
animals.
company, but that he was truly dedicated to his family and that he was gay.
Dedicated to his family? This dude left his entire family to go fuck horses in some random person's barn in the middle of fucking nowhere. What? Dedicated it to his family of abused animals? Oh my god, what a fucking creep. And you're such a piece of shit for fostering this environment. What is wrong with you, you disgusting fucking. Ugh. LeBron would not be proud. Kobe Kobe did not die for this.
He knew he'd been gay for a long time. That was the difficult part he had with his ex-wife. He went into long, lengthy discussions about it. I don't know what his concern was to make me crystal clear to understand that. I'm not truly quite sure why he would think that was an issue. But a supposed email sent by Corinne to Doug in 2005 seems to contradict this, where she says, "I've always tried hard to understand your emotional plumbing. If it seems like I've been trying to replumb you with my advances, I did not mean it. I am a sexual creature that likes to be touched and touch. It is part of the attraction. I'm sorry that it makes you so uncomfortable. I think it is healthy. It leaves you feeling weak and vulnerable, open to attack. This is my first try at loving a different creature.
Oh my
Perhaps
god.
if I had your experience, I would not have failed. I have never lied to you nor said anything about who or what you are, except that I'm attracted to it and want to learn more." Corinne also denies that she was aware of Doug being a zoophile. However, a letter written
There's no fucking way. There's no fucking way that she didn't hear those animals screaming for help while they were getting raped. And that dog tried to run away on a couple of occasions, because that's fucked, dude.
in October of 2005 seems to indicate the opposite. In the barn, when you told me you hoped one day I would understand, I finally get it. I truly
Bro, not fucking way she actually said that she was okay with this.
do. I understand. It still hurts, but it feels good to understand it. Understanding you has been a challenge and a growth that I thank you for. Painful and exhausting, but full of love. It is strangely painful and comforting to learn that it is me as a species.
How the fuck are these weirdos getting partners, but I'm still single? Why the fuck am I still single, but people like this find partners? Do these fucking weirdos just attract each other? What am I missing here? My requirements aren't even that crazy. I'm not even fucking animals like this fucking weirdo. And he's finding another fucking wife already. What the fuck, man? What the fuck? This is bullshit.
and a female, but it is not me as a person.
God
Serious
damn it.
self-doubt and reflecting. That being said, as mentioned previously, both Doug and Corinne Maloney are potentially unreliable narrators. As if the prospect of lying about a romantic relationship wasn't strange enough, Doug even alleged that Corinne was a career criminal who recruited him to smuggle drugs over the Canadian border.
God.
Her background,
There we go.
of course, is in the drug business. Corinne Super has made her living from the drug business since she was a teenager. How would I know this? Well, she recruited me into that
Oh,
business
so he's
when
a-
I met her in
Oh, so he's an animal fucker and a snitch. What a winning combo. What a faggot.
Canada in late 2003. I ended up proposing marriage to her, and we were engaged for several years. Bad idea. And for the record, though she recruited me into the business,
Dude, you're
it was
gay.
my
Why are
choice
you
to do
marrying
so.
women?
I take full responsibility for that. There's no
It's
evidence
fucked
of
up.
Corinne being charged in any crimes relating to drugs, and she vehemently denies this claim. While the notion that Corinne was involved in illegal drug running operations is unconfirmed, Doug, on the other hand, certainly was. In January of 2005, he was located on a well-known drug smuggling route by U.S. border agents in
my
Loomis National
God.
Forest. One of the agents at the scene claimed that Doug appeared extremely nervous, but ultimately he allowed him to go. They began tracking his activity for the next month, noting that he crossed the border from Canada 5 separate times in the month of February. That was until the 28th, when he was apprehended by federal agents with an estimated $34 million
Damn.
worth of cocaine at
Damn.
the Canadian border. The feds discovered 4 large suitcases and 1 small suitcase with over 372 pounds of coke.
He was
in the
moving
back of his
crazy
vehicle.
weight.
Because of this, Spink was facing
Imagine
imprisonment
smoking
of up
the
to 10
same-
years. However,
Imagine getting your drugs from a guy who fucks animals, dude. That would suck, dude. Oh, dude, imagine you did that coke, bro. Imagine being in Canada and smoking coke. I mean, well, that's not smoking crack. That's crack that I'm thinking about. But what if like you're snorting coke that was trafficked by an animal toucher? You got to rethink your life after that point. Finding that shit out has to be insane.
However, he was able to shorten his sentence to 3 years in prison with 5 years of probation after aiding in the arrest of his boss, Robert Kessling. Doug
Oh.
eventually found himself in FCI Sheridan, a medium-security prison located in
Bro's a
Oregon.
snitch
in
and a
prison, he
fucking
spent
pedo.
most of his time reading books and working as a horticulture instructor at the prison's education department. He also found time to repair the broken relationships with his parents, specifically his mother Claire, who grew distant with him.
Why
during
would
his
you want to
marriage
be
Judy.
around
While
this?
things were going well for Doug in prison,
Your
his
son's
sentencing
your
left his
your
animals
son is
without a
fucking
caretaker.
animals.
To solve this, he would strike a deal with Corinne Super. Under the condition that she looked after his dogs and horses, Doug leased his stallions to her and allowed her to collect all the prize money earned until his release. During his time, his horse Capone would flourish in professional competition, winning 10 Grand Prix titles in his
It's probably because it stopped getting fucked by that guy. They had a break.
career. In 2007, he was even ranked as one of the top 200 show jumpers on the planet, earning him an estimated value of several $1,000,000. Despite this previous agreement, Super wanted more. Well aware of his carnal desires for Capone, she petitioned to acquire ownership of the champion show horse.
Thank
a right
God.
she would easily be granted. Doug was
Please
released
take that
early
horse away from
prison
this fucking freak of a nature.
for good behavior on May 25th, 2007, serving only 21 of his 36-month sentence. He rented a small barn with an apartment in Custer, Washington, near the Canadian border. While he was able to collect his dogs, Super refused to give Capone back.
Yeah, please
sparking
don't
a
let him
custody-
have that horse. That horse is doing way better in its career because it's not getting fucked in the ass. He was probably the one that was holding it back.
The battle over the champion show horse. While Super claimed she wanted Capone out of love, Doug believed she solely wanted to profit from
Dude. So fucking what? You're trying to rape that horse. She needs to keep it away from you. I don't give a shit what the situation is. That horse is better off with her than it is near your freak ass.
him. Capone's value came in particular from his exceptional genetics, which made him a viable option in producing future offspring for anyone willing to pay.
Oh my
Doug
god.
suspected Corinne was attempting to stockpile Capone's loads, which ran a market price of $2,500 per emission.
Oh my
During a heated
god.
argument over the phone, Doug stepped outside to scream at Super, leaving a package of sugar cookies on the table. Distracted by the argument, he failed to notice his dogs began to fight over the cookies, which resulted in his dog Ryan being critically injured. Unfortunately,
My
the dog would
God.
pass away from his injuries, which devastated Doug.
Honestly, best thing that ever happened to that dog, dude. He got away from this freak.
Eventually, the two would meet in a parking lot where they would reach an agreement, with Capone being returned to Doug.
No
At this
way.
point,
You gave it back to this fucking freak? What is wrong with you? Why would you give that horse back to this fucking freak?
things were looking up for him. His time in prison soured the prospect of returning to drug running, and he set his sights on becoming a veterinarian.
Oh
He would
my
be
God.
accepted into Washington
Please
State
don't let him.
University,
Please don't let him
only
get
to
near
have the
any
offer
more of these
rescinded
animals.
once the establishment learned of his past of
Thank
fraud
God.
and incarceration. Doug also believed they may have discovered his public outing as a zoophile and decided to cut ties.
Thank
As
God.
a result, he attempted to
I'm an
sue the
atheist.
school for discrimination on the basis
Oh my
of
God,
sexual
think
orientation.
Trey.
However, the legal
What the fuck? Sexual orientation? Fucking animals is not a sexuality. You're a creep. You're a fucking creep. You weirdo. You're not the same as the person who fucks dudes. That's we're fucking inside the same species. You're fucking a whole different genus. You fucking creep.
team he attempted to hire rejected the case for obvious reasons. With his dreams of becoming a veterinarian
Christ.
destroyed, Doug
No
decided
fucking way he has that gay pin on. Take that shit off, you fucking creep.
to dip his toes back into doing business online, founding Benecki Privacy Computing Incorporated and starting his own virtual private network service. While Doug was taking steps to get his life back together, Corinne Super was devising a plot to pull the rug out from under him. She was determined to get Capone back by all means necessary. After failed attempts to get the police involved, she was forced to take matters into her own hands. In May of 2008, Doug spent a weekend away from his home to go hiking with his new boyfriend. When he returned, the front gate was open, the barn door was ajar,
Oh my
and
God.
Capone was
Thank
gone.
God.
He quickly
Thank-
contacted the police, informing them of the suspected horse napping.
Thank
Sparking an
Christ.
investigation.
Thank fucking Christ, dude. Thank Christ. We gotta play a clip for that shit, Doug. Oh my God. Here it is, arena cheering. Woo! Get some W's in the fucking chat. Fucking goat, dude. Fucking goat. That horse got away, bro. Thank God.
Into the matter. Corinne openly confessed to taking Capone, alleging that Doug wasn't
Good
properly
job.
taking care of him, was sexually abused.
Yeah, he was fucking that horse. He was probably gonna destroy that whole horse's career by stooping his dick inside of it on a regular basis. What a fucking creep. He shouldn't be allowed anywhere near a preschool or a vet's office or even an adoptions agency. Bro's the type of person that walk into Animal Kingdom and look for his next victims. That's fucking such a fucking piece of shit. Oh my god, what a creep.
Using him,
Freak of
which is
nature.
true, and affirmed that she is the rightful owner. This difference of perspective
Might as well be. It's better than keeping that fucking horse around this freak.
fueled a heated legal dispute between Spink
My god, I want to punch his fucking face.
and Super, with little progress made over time. The police were unable to assist, with the deputy assigned to the case writing the following. The investigation of this incident has been very convoluted and difficult. As of this time, it is not known who is the owner of Capone. Douglas has provided numerous documents on the behalf of Exit Point Stallions Limite to try to prove ownership. None of the documents were sufficient evidence to establish
Thank
ownership
Christ.
of Capone. Corinne also submitted numerous documents to try to prove ownership, and none of those documents were sufficient
Oh my
evidence to
God.
establish ownership of Capone. I have suspected both Douglas and Corinne have not been totally honest regarding the information they have provided. I also suspected Douglas and Corinne have each put their own
Dude.
spin on the
Dude, give it to the person who's not fucking the horse. It's that simple. Why are you mediating this shit? The dude's an animal fucker. What is wrong with you? That should be enough. You should be beating his ass. What the fuck, man? There's no justice if a guy like this can get the benefit. Oh my god, what a fucking this is why the justice system is fucked, man. A guy like this is able to go free, but Luigi's in prison.
the information provided in an effort to prove ownership of Capone. It is not known if the dispute over Capone is from a failed business or romantic relationship between Douglas and Corinne.
Romantic relationship. He was fucking the horse, dude. That's all you needed to know. The moment that was questioned, that was even a question there. You should have fucking got. You should have beat his ass and then took him out back and shot him in the head. The fuck are you talking about? The dude is abusing animals.
And eventually,
He was probably scoping out preschools too.
Doug lost his patience and devised a plan to get Capone back. Unable to enter Canada due to his probation requirements, he enlisted the help of his landlord, Sharon Monroe.
Why are you helping this freak? How are they finding these people to help him? To help them, dude? What the fuck? What type of voodoo magic does he have on these people?
To assist him in retrieving his champion show horse. Monroe traveled to Corinne's farm under the pretense of seeking advice in dealing with Doug. After Monroe left, Corinne set off to pick up her daughter from school, and while she was away, Doug's landlord returned to the farm and attempted to steal the horse. This attempt was ultimately unsuccessful, with Corinne's workers informing her of this and putting a stop to it. But she wasn't done yet. A month later, while transporting Capone in the trailer, she noticed Monroe following behind with an empty trailer of her own. For nearly 2 hours, Monroe chased Corinne down the highway with the intent to steal Capone back and return him to Doug. This chase came to a halt as Corinne pulled into the parking lot of the local police department. The police's attempts to mediate were ultimately for naught, as Monroe followed the woman home once again and attempted to steal Capone. The cops arrived at the scene and removed her from the property. Dude? Monroe then remained on the side of the road for a total of 3 hours before finally leaving.
Why is she so committed to getting this horse back to this fucking freak? Is the dick that good? Holy
this
shit.
Would be the last time Corinne Super saw Sharon Monroe. Out of options, Doug realized the only person who could retrieve Capone was himself.
Oh my
As Thanksgiving approached, he figured Corinne may not be around to keep an eye on the farm during the holidays. And he was right, as she would spend Thanksgiving weekend out of town. Doug, in the dead of night, snuck into Super's barn and stole Capone back. The first to inform Corinne that her champion show horse was stolen was Doug himself, sending her a 2-word text message: "Checkmate, cunt." With a small loan of $80,000 from his mother, Doug relocated to a
told you. I fucking told you. Oh my god, I called it so much earlier, dude. Holy shit, I am the GOAT. I knew he was using that money to fuck them animals.
Small cabin in Sumas, Washington, where he thought that Corinne Super and law enforcement could.
These creeps are always fucking trust fund babies for some reason.
Couldn't find him. On July 2nd, 2005, Kenneth D. Pinion, James Michael Tate, and a third unknown person snuck into a local barn with the intent of abusing one of the horses.
Oh my god, you got the sinister three right here. The three fucketeers. The horse stoopers. Oh my god. Would be another like Three Musketeers reference I can make. I think it'd be funnier. Zoophile Musketeers, no. No, damn it.
They rubbed female pheromones on their bodies to coerce the animals to sodomize them. Tate took turns first before allowing Kenneth to go second.
Dude, they were getting fucked by animals, dude. Holy shit.
During this, the stallion would accidentally rupture his colon, leading to his untimely death.
Oh my god.
All of this was filmed and eventually uploaded to the internet, originally intended to be gooning material, but instead it became one of the most infamous shock videos on the internet, known as Mr. Hand.
Oh, I remember seeing that shit. Dude, that shit got airdropped to me in fucking high school, dude. Oh my god, that shit was fucking. Oh, dude.
The third unidentified man dumped Kenneth's body outside of a local hospital, where he was quickly pronounced dead. Authorities began to investigate, leading them to a farm in Enumclaw, Washington. This particular farm was supposedly infamous in zoophile chat rooms as a hotspot for depraved animal abusers to find victims.
Oh my
god. On the scene, hundreds of VHS tapes and DVDs were found, containing men abusing a wide plethora of animals.
Oh my god.
Law enforcement were eventually able to trace back the video to James Tate, who was promptly arrested. Unfortunately, since there were no laws against Bro was the oh my god. Bestiality in Washington at the time, he was simply charged with trespassing and given a 1-year suspended sentence. On the bright side, however, the infamy of this case inspired Washington state legislators to craft and pass a bill outlawing sex with animals.
Oh my god,
time later,
thank
James
Christ.
Tate would move to Maury County, Tennessee. He would take residence at a local farm where he would continue to exploit animals. Local authorities were eventually notified of this.
How the fuck is this guy getting away? Do they not do background checks? Like, what the fuck, man?
And once again, Tate was arrested. This is where Douglas Spink re-enters the picture. Familiar with the infamous Enumclaw case and aware of his recent arrest, Doug wrote a letter to Tate while in jail offering his help. He obviously sympathized with Tate, believing he was incarcerated on the basis of his sexuality. Doug even went as far as writing a letter to the Maury County Assistant Public Defender. Mr. Tate has also informed me that he, personally, has no documentation from you or anyone else relating to this case, the charges under which he is being held, or anything else. Apparently, in the sole meeting you've ever had with him, several weeks ago, you flashed a copy of several warrants at him, but refused to give him copies of the same.
Oh my god.
He sits in jail with no reliable explanation for why he is being punished.
He's being punished because he was fucking animals, you creeps. You fucking disgusting pieces of garbage. Oh my god.
Either behave as a professional and an officer of this court, or expect to face any and all sanctions appropriate for such failures, both with the judge, if there even is a judge.
What kind of crackpot ass logic is this? Bro must have been smoking that rock to come up with a dumbass fucking thing like this. Bro sent a countersuit talking about like how fucking animals isn't wrong. What the fuck is wrong with you, you fucking animal stupor? Oh my god. Playing doctor with the horses doesn't entitle you to have human rights, you piece of shit. Oh, you disgusting. You've lost your humanity, you fucking creep.
In this current case, and with your state bar association. I don't have time to play games with you. Mr. Tate rots in jail while you dither, and his possessions and non-human companions are scattered to the winds.
Non-human companions? You mean the animals he was touching? Thank God those animals got away. You guys are all a bunch of fucking disgusting pieces of human. Oh my god, I can't keep saying this shit, but these people are fucking gross.
If you think I speak lightly in promising to ensure you're held accountable for your failures as an officer of the court, I suggest you find a few minutes in your busy schedule to validate that assumption on your part. This bizarre and unwavering advocacy for these strange people compelled law enforcement to begin investigating Doug Spink himself. Calls made to Tate's prison were obviously recorded and revealed Doug openly admitting to his interests. Authorities also found pages of evidence from his numerous forum posts advocating for and acknowledging his abuse of animals. With a mountain of evidence against him, in the early morning of April 14th, 2010, law enforcement approached Doug's recently purchased cabin in Sumas and arrested him for violating his parole. On the scene of his small cabin were dozens of dogs, horses, and mice, the latter of which supposedly had their tails cut off, strings tied to them, and petroleum jelly coating their
oh my god, dude.
bodies. All of these animals were confiscated and relocated by the Watcombe Humane
Thank
Society,
Christ.
with Capone being returned to Corinne Super.
Oh
Along
my
with
god.
Doug, a British tourist named Stephen Clark was also arrested. Video evidence was uncovered of Clark sexually abusing 3 of Doug's dogs. Clark also had a prior history of legal troubles, including including charges of theft and unlawful interactions with both animals and children. To get into the U.S., Clark lied about his past criminal convictions and omitted the E from the end of his surname when
Oh my
applying for his
God.
visa. For this, he spent 30 days in county jail before he was deported back to the UK. This lead prosecutor for this case spoke about this decision, saying, "I just wanted to get rid of him. I didn't want to clog up our jails with this guy.
Thank
This is a
God.
problem born of another country." This was not an isolated incident. Doug frequently pimped out his animals to be used by other depraved individuals he met online.
Dude, bro's a pimp. Oh my God, dude. He was pimping out. Dude, he was pimping that fucking dog ussy out, dog. Oh my God. No fucking way.
His small cabin in Sumas had become a hotspot for zoophiles to visit. However, Doug denies the allegations of his supposed bestiality farm. Once again in police custody, Doug faced a lengthy legal battle. Prosecutors believed his probation was violated a total of 4 times for committing to the crime of animal cruelty, failing to submit
Oh my
truthful monthly
God.
reports, leaving the jurisdiction without permission, and associating with persons engaged in criminal activities. Doug disputed 3 of the violations, however conceded that he did travel out of state. He traveled to New York City to do a presentation on corporate jurisprudence at the Last Hope Conference. His presentation was posted online, where he openly admits to his quote-unquote relationship
Oh
with
my
Capone.
God.
I have kind of an unusual lifestyle in that my primary physical, emotional, and social bonds are with horses and dogs. So my family is really mostly composed of dogs and
Ugh.
horses. My life partner, who I've been with for 10 years, um, is a famous athlete and very successful, has his own fan club, and pays a lot of the bills around the farm actually with his work. He's also got 4 hooves and a tail. He's
Oh
a
my
short-legged
God.
stallion named Capone One.
Why did nobody jump on stage and just beat the dog shit out of this guy?
I always joke about that and say it's actually cool because I can always say that my boyfriend really is hung like a horse.
Oh my
I
God.
usually blush like you can't say that.
They're laughing? What the fuck, dude?
I did. I said it. I'm not really sorry about it. So I have kind of a different life that I live in a barn actually, and with the guys and have for a long time.
Unfortunately for Doug, any disagreements he might have had with the case didn't really matter, and he was ultimately sentenced to 3 years in prison with another 2 years of probation. This sentencing was strictly for his federal probation violations, and he still faced charges of animal cruelty that were pending in Whatcom County. The news of Doug Spink's arrest and his bestiality farm quickly made headlines in Whatcom County. Working as a volunteer animal rescue writer for the
my
Whatcom Humane
God.
Society, Corrine Maloney was made aware of the animal saved from Doug Spink's cabin. And it was around this time that she began to investigate the situation, conducting interviews with Doug over the span of the next 8 years. This investigation resulted in the aforementioned book, Uniquely Dangerous.
What a piece
the
of
most
shit.
charitable way to describe Corrine Maloney is incompetent. A more harsh interpretation is that she is a dangerously apologetic enabler.
Exactly.
Nothing in this book demonstrates this better than its opening statement. This book is dedicated to the animals who are killed by humans when their secret lives with zoos are discovered. Corrine Maloney doesn't seem to be concerned with the animals who
She has to be a faggot vegan. She has to be like a PETA faggot vegan. That's like the only way she'd write some stupid shit like this. She's an animal fucker apologist. What the fuck? That's an actual thing now. What the fuck, dude?
were taken advantage of by zoophiles. Rather, she is concerned with animals that are supposedly euthanized after their abuse is
Yeah, because PETA's killing them.
discovered. This sentiment is a common lie spread by zoophiles to deter their detractors from speaking out. They claim that if you report someone sexually engaging with an animal, you are essentially killing that animal. In
Oh my
reality,
God.
animals will only be euthanized if there is irreconcilable mental or physical damage. This idea, ironically, is disproven by the case regarding the 2010 sting in Whatcom County. The mice discovered were euthanized under the belief that their lives would not be very good if they continued
my
living,
God.
given the fact that their tails were cut off,
And they were raped and strung up with petroleum jelly in their asses.
strings were tied to their body, and they were, the stuff that they went through, the sort of canal they probably
Death was a mercy for them.
saw, I think, did enough damage that the rescuers determined it was probably over for them. Meanwhile, the 7 dogs and 4 stallions who were recovered at the scene were not euthanized. Rather, they were sent to various shelters or rehomed.
Thank
On
God.
top of talking to Doug, Corrine uncritically interviewed and shared the stories of other zoophiles, where they were free to bellyache and exhaust their proclivities.
Why
In
is she
chapter 14
why is she an animal pedophile apologist? What is wrong with you? What path in life do you have to take in order to end up like this? Where you're apologizing for pedophiles. What is wrong with you dumb cunt?
coming out, Corrine interviewed a
I hope you get the worst shit that happened to you in your entire existence, you piece of shit. Cause you're coddling these freaks.
68-year-old man named Bernard. She dedicated 2 pages
60-year-old man that used to fuck them animals.
in the book where the man was free to air his grievances with not being accepted in society.
Air those grievances about how he used to rape them animals.
Bernard had started abusing a 2-year-old dog named Ashley at the age of 16.
Oh my
After Ashley
god.
passed, he began abusing her
Oh my god, no, not the puppies.
offspring, following
She's an apologist for this shit? How deep down, how fucking mentally insane do you have to be in order to apologize for this type of fucking behavior? What is wrong with you?
their offspring as well, and the terrible, disgusting cycle continued. Karine frames Bernard as a man who suffers physical side effects from the stress of hiding a secret, yet remains proud of who he
Oh my
is, as
God.
if he is a downtrodden outcast, unfairly
He's treating him like he's a fucking minority.
mistreated by society. Chapter 16, Lady Buble, tells the story of a zoophile named
Well, he is a minority, but just not not a minority that should be accepted into society. You are a human piece of shit. You should not be accepted into society.
Philip Buble. Philip was much more open about his interests than most zoos, sharing it with his family and friends. His father, in particular, was disgusted by this, and when he walked in on his son French kissing the family dog,
Oh my
he
God.
snapped. Later that night, Philip's father attacked him with a crowbar, beating him within an
Good
inch
job.
of his life. This resulted in a broken arm,
W
63
parent.
stitches, and permanent neurological damage. But Bernard is a forgiving man, who was upset by his father's prison sentence for attempted murder. Yet, he remained frightened,
Oh my
paranoid
God.
that the world was out to get him, up
The world is out to get you, bro. You're lucky I didn't fucking know about this shit and I was in the same room as you. I wouldn't have just stopped. I would have just stopped it at the fucking bats. You would have been dead.
until his untimely death in 2010. In the 48th chapter, titled Donkey Love, Karine seemingly
Oh my
attempts to
God.
normalize the concept of human-animal relations, referencing a
She's definitely letting animals fuck her.
handful of villages on the northern coast of Colombia which encourage young men to have sex with donkeys.
Oh my
None
God.
of these stories have anything to do with Doug. They do nothing aside from attempt to humanize zoophiles. Scrutiny is exempt from all of these stories, and if anything, they do nothing but attempt to excuse the deplorable acts
Oh my
of mentally ill
God.
degenerates. As to why Karine felt so compelled to charitably shine a light on the life of zoophiles, it's not really certain. What is certain is that she dedicated 8 years to writing a book that Doug openly promotes as a reputable source of information. During these 8 years, Karine would frequently meet up with Doug, beginning their string of interactions while he was still in prison. While Doug viewed his first sentencing as a blessing in disguise, he had a much more unfavorable view of his second stint in prison,
Oh my God.
believing he was being persecuted based on his sexuality, and even described himself as a political prisoner. Doug spent most of his time in jail,
What
the
the
same way
fuck,
he did
dude?
during his previous
I
incarceration.
hope they beat his fucking ass in that prison.
Reading hundreds of books and taking a job as an educational tutor for the inmates. During his second stint, he shared a cell with Mike Fenter, who was serving 10 years for a handful of armed robberies in California and Washington state. Fenter was notably disgruntled by government bailouts given to banks during the Great Recession of 2008, saying,
Okay.
"What I am for is real justice, real truth, and real accountability within our system of government. The money
W?
was used and is probably currently being used to get to the truth."
W?
Fenter also owned a farm called Compass Rose in Port Townsend, Washington, which his wife, Katine, was forced to run by herself after his arrest. When Doug was released from prison in April of 2013, he came to Katine hat in hand, asking for work and a place to stay. Katine, disconnected from the internet and likely unaware of Doug's past crimes, allowed him to take residence in a small
Oh my
trailer on the
God.
property. The probation department, which was responsible for approving Doug's housing and ensuring he was not near animals, mistakenly approved his stay in the trailer. That was until they found out he was living amongst a herd of sheep, where they then demanded he find new housing.
Oh my
Doug was
God.
offended by the implication, indignantly stating, "I am not a sheep fucker." Doug rented a brand new
Might as well be your fucking dogs and cats. You fucking freak.
home just 11 miles away, but still opted to spend most of his time on the farm. Katine ran into issues with coyotes poaching her sheep, which Doug saw as a perfect opportunity to acquire a new victim. He convinced Katine to purchase a Caucasian Shepherd
Oh
named
my
Baka,
God.
a rare breed known for its herding and guarding capabilities. Next door to Compass Rose was a dog breeding operation run by Andrew Johnston. Doug had known Johnston previously, as they had bred a litter of puppies together in 2007.
Oh my
He was
God.
promised one of the dogs under the pretense that he found owners for all of the remaining litter. Doug was unsuccessful in finding new owners and was not given one of the puppies, which he was furious over. This ultimately soiled their relationship and future business prospects. Doug took a liking to a 5-year-old dog named Genghis, a canine he believed was being abused by Johnston. This is entirely
Abused? What? So you can get your chance to fucking abuse him? You piece of shit.
possible, as in 2009, Johnston was warned by police after receiving an
Oh my
animal
God.
cruelty complaint. Katine's mother, Beverly, also allegedly witnessed Johnston abusing one of his dogs. With this, Doug decided to steal Genghis from
Oh my
Johnston,
God.
cutting a hole in the fence that separated their properties and taking him in the middle of the night. When Johnston discovered this, he quickly called the police and placed blame in the hands of Spank. Law enforcement found Doug at his home, where they found Baka in his truck. Genghis, on the other hand, was nowhere to be found. To this day, it is unknown where Genghis went, as he was
Oh
never
my
seen again.
god.
In 2024, he would be over 20 years old, so it's certain that he's since passed away. This would not be the end of Doug's legal troubles, however, as he still faced charges of animal cruelty from his sting operation in Whatcom County. That being said, Doug believed it was a case he was sure to beat. I would like to say that on the Whatcom County case, that case was filed right before the statute of limitations expired. As
Oh
a
my
result
God.
of the 2010 incident, my lawyer and I are fighting that vehemently. We're fighting the constitutionality of the state underlying that case, and in the strong
Why would a lawyer take your fucking case? What is wrong with these people? No amount of money could make your morals be this fucking low. You're trying to give representation to a fucking animal fucker. That's like defending a pedophile. That's like defending Diddy, you fucking creep.
strongest possible terms, and we're looking to overturn that statute on the basis of a flagrant violation of the findings of the Supreme Court in Lawrence v. Texas,
Oh
as
my
well as
God.
numerous due process violations of the statute itself.
Oh my
That's
God.
the status of the Whatcom County case. I'm proud to be fighting that case. I look forward to winning that case and to removing that statute from the books.
Hope
For
you
those
never win that.
unaware, Lawrence v. Texas was a case handled by the Supreme Court that ruled that the criminalization of sodomy between consenting
Oh my
adults
God.
was unconstitutional. Doug believed his sexuality was no different than being gay, and
It's-
sought to use this
it is
landmark
completely
decision as his
different, you
greatest
fucking
weapon in
creep.
advocating for his innocence. Obviously, this didn't work. Doug had his probation revoked and was forced to serve the remaining 9 months behind bars.
Thank
Once
God.
his sentence was complete, he still faced animal cruelty charges in Whatcom County, stemming from the sting operation on his cabin in Sumas. Doug originally accepted a plea deal admitting to 1 count of animal cruelty and agreeing to a lifetime ban on owning dogs in the state of Washington. However, the judge opted to throw out the plea
Why are
deal
they
and
giving this
sentenced him
guy
to
a
90
fucking-
days in prison,
Okay,
as
there
well
we
as
go.
banning him from owning dogs for life.
Thank
Doug
God.
requested a few weeks to get his affairs in order before officially being sent to
He
prison,
ran.
which he was granted. During this time, he fled to Canada with
Knew
his
it.
boyfriend. At that, I had a decision to make,
Boyfriend? You mean, oh wait, he actually had an actual boyfriend?
which he was granted. During this time, he fled to Canada with his boyfriend.
No fucking way someone actually got with this piece of shit, dude. Holy crap. How the fuck are these freaks finding partners but I'm still single? What the fuck, dude? What am I missing here?
At that, I had a decision to make. Go back to that state, face further open-ended persecution without a real lawyer, and having already seen a
Persecution?
stacked
They're
deck
telling you to
sentencing
stop
hearing take
fucking
place that I knew was
dogs.
headed off the rails. I decided that, based on all I've seen and know, going back voluntarily represented a genuine risk to my safety, and I had no
my
idea when
God.
or if I could return to Canada.
This guy
once
needs
that
his
thing down
ass
there was
beat.
finished. Would they frame me for something else? Add some new change out of nowhere? Try to involuntarily commit me under some specious psych diagnosis? I put
The
none of that
fuck,
past them.
dude?
I decided that I would simply step back from the jail sentence and let things play out. Doug made a new home for himself in Port Stanley, Ontario, where he spent the next 8 months in hiding. But like a moth to a flame, it was only a matter of time before he found himself in the hands of law enforcement again. On August 9th, 2015, police were informed of a disheveled man with a towel around his waist wandering into local businesses along Warncliffe Road in Lambeth. He initially gave them a fake name, but was eventually identified and arrested. Doug blamed this incident on his supposed PTSD, saying, "Yesterday I found myself in contact with local police officers without any of my ID or driver's license on hand. I was not in my best form, having that morning engaged some personal demons in an hours-long event. Let's just call it an event for now, in the local swamps
Oh my
of Forest
God.
Land. I was recovering from a deep dive into the cold waters of genuine terror, and I'm not in my home country, driving a vehicle with expired plates.
Oh
and
my
so on.
God.
All irresponsible and, in a word, dumb." Doug was released from prison
The fucking the dude, like the level of snarky and fucking privilege this guy has. He feels like the world is like he's owed the world. What a creep, dude. These fucking losers always get what they want.
the next day after the detention center holding him made an error. Authorities quickly rearrested him the following day, and he was eventually deported and sent back to
Thank
America.
gosh.
He spent a few months living with his mother, Claire, in Pennsylvania, before sneaking back into Canada.
Oh my
Of course,
God.
Doug's habitual run-ins with the law didn't magically stop here. In November of 2015, emergency workers received
Why is she still supporting this guy? Like, what the fuck, man? What is wrong with this mom? Your son is out here raping animals. Why are you encouraging this? Get this fucker back in prison or get him a mental asylum. This is not okay, woman. Get your shit together. They made an entire law because of the way because he fucked animals. It wasn't thought that American citizens would fuck animals until this fucking freak of nature came around.
word of a fire taking place at the home of Ronald Matuszek. a man who had been letting Doug stay with him during his most recent stints in Canada. Eyewitnesses reported seeing Doug with Matushek in a headlock, threatening to stab him if they came any closer. He eventually let go of the man before running away, breaking into another person's home and exiting shortly after. Police intercepted Doug and arrested him, but he didn't go down without a fight. Once in the police cruiser, he smashed both of the backseat windows, bent the radar antenna, and smashed his head on the plexiglass barrier at least 10 times. For this behavior, he served 150 days in jail and was sent back to America again. After being dropped off in New York, he returned to his childhood home to live with his mother. Doug, whose mental state had regressed severely, asked to sleep in his mother's room. She refused, but allowed him to sleep on a pile of blankets outside of her door. On the night of April 4th, 2016, Doug was awoken by a metal plant holder falling on a glass sliding door. Thinking someone was breaking in, he rushed into his mother's room, grabbed her .38 caliber revolver, and put it to his own head. After calming him down, Claire took her son to the basement to talk. Doug then rushed back up the steps and fired 3 rounds. Believing her son was dead, Claire went to investigate, finding he was still alive with multiple bullet holes lodged in the walls and ceiling. Claire quickly left to call the police at her neighbor's home, and during this, Doug began walking down the street in a panicked state. A random driver noticed Doug on the side of the road and offered their help. He requested they bring him to the police station, which they initially obliged. However, as Doug became more erratic, they asked him to get out. He eventually found himself at a gas station, where one of the employees promptly called the police. When they arrived at the scene, Doug was curled up in the fetal position behind the store's counter. It took 5 officers and 3 sets of handcuffs to eventually subdue him.
I feel no empathy for this fucking creep, dude. He did this to himself, man. Right after he got fucked by, yeah, we need to get raped. Which led him down this path, but it still doesn't excuse his actions. He's still a piece of shit.
And he was then rushed to the hospital. There, he stayed for a week before being moved to Butler County Prison, where he faced a total of 17 criminal charges, 12 of which were felonies. Those charges included 1 count of possession of a prohibited firearm, 3 counts of discharging a firearm into an occupied structure, 5 counts of aggravated assault, 4 counts of recklessly endangering another person, 1 count of criminal mischief for breaking a screen door, and another 3 counts of criminal mischief for the $5,000 of damage caused to the gas station during the struggle. Unable to pay his bail of $35 grand, Doug remained in custody while awaiting prosecution. Unfortunately, Doug walked away with nothing more than a slap on the wrist, charged with misdemeanor criminal mischief, reckless endangerment, and resisting arrest.
Why are they giving this creep a slap on the wrist?
Spink was a free man once again. It is truly remarkable that despite his habitual disregard for the law, he always manages to find himself out of prison. Doug was now more than ever a danger to both animals and humans. He was a ticking time bomb who brought chaos and terror wherever he went. With his behavior almost being reinforced by the legal system's negligence, it was only a matter of time before he once again had run-ins with law enforcement. Paranoid by his previous encounters with police, Doug no longer felt safe living in his apartment, opting to sleep in his car in various locations in Butler County. In November of 2017, he accidentally got his car stuck in an alley, where he decided to just take a nap. A police officer found him and attempted to take him to a hospital, as he had a mental health warrant and hadn't been meeting with a psychiatrist. Doug also had his service dog Cav with him. How he was able to gain access to another animal is beyond me, but we can basically chalk it up to pure negligence on the part of everybody involved. Doug refused to go to the police, eventually pulling a knife on his dog Cav, threatening to kill the dog if they arrested him. A 2-hour-long standoff ensued, with officers attempting to coax him out of his car. Eventually, Doug did give up and exited the vehicle, yet still refused the officer's request to get down on both knees. In a fit of rage, he charged the officers, resulting in him being tased and shot with beanbag ammunition. Doug's heart stopped beating at the scene. However, paramedics successfully revived him in the ambulance. He woke up in the hospital 3 days later and was subsequently transferred to the medical unit in Butler County Prison. He was then charged with aggravated assault, resisting arrest, and disorderly conduct. Once again, like in so many chapters of Doug's life, he found himself in a prison cell. Doug spent the next 11 months incarcerated, being released sometime in October of 2018. It was around this time that he began treatment for his recently diagnosed stage 4 cancer. This diagnosis was terminal, and his death was imminent. He knew his time was running out. Instead of achieving liberation for zoophiles and their furry companions like he dreamt of, he wasted a majority of his life running from federal authorities or rotting in prison. Now he was confined to a bed, staying in his childhood home with his strongest enabler, his mother. During this time of waning mortality, he felt compelled to make one final push. Over the years, Doug attempted to organize a handful of social justice campaigns, obviously with the goal of normalizing and destigmatizing zoophilia. The Deep Justice Network was created by Doug sometime in late 2013, which sought to build a legal defense fund for zoos. Taking inspiration from civil rights movements of the past, this network pathetically attempts to draw comparisons to anti-black racism, sexism against women, and homophobia. The Deep Symbiosis Institute, also founded in 2013, was an attempt to intellectualize the topic of zoophilia as if it's a human condition worth understanding. In this, Doug seeks to redefine the meaning of zoophobe. Traditionally defined as the irrational fear of animals, he describes it as the bigotry which manifests itself as is a violent, irrational,
my
often
God.
inexplicable hatred of cross-species intimate relationships, and of the general concept of non-human sexuality and sexual identity. Then there's Can't Be Porn, which is potentially the most depraved of its efforts on the surface. This
No
was a
fucking
Twitter
way.
account that featured videos of animals engaging in intercourse. The intent was seemingly for him to try to point out that if animals can't consent to sex, then animals having sex with each other isn't sex at all.
Are you fucking high on crack, you retard? Animals are fucking each other. They give consent to each other, you fucking retard. Either that or they're getting raped by each other. Either it's consensual or it's inconsensual, but like they have like a fucking like a form of consent. You fucking idiot, you absolute disgusting piece of shit, you perv, you animal fucker, you weirdo.
A mind-numbingly stupid argument that fails on all fronts. But the most notable of all these efforts is the Cross-Species Alliance.
Oh my
This
God.
organization is the epitome of Doug's beliefs and rhetoric. Like previous movements, the Cross-Species Alliance morally postures that those who despise zoophiles are equivalent to racists, sexists, and homophobes.
Shit, guess I'm a racist, sexist, and a homophobe, you fucking creep, you because there's no fucking way that shit should be any form of legal. You should be stoned and hanged on a cross, you fucking weirdo.
Its biography also includes the hashtag LGBTZ,
Oh, sorry. You should be stoned and
sexists, and homophobes. Its biography also includes the files are equivalent to previous movements. The Cross-Species Alliance morally postures that those who despise zoophiles are equivalent to racists, sexists, and homophobes.
shit. Guess I'm all three. I think you should be stoned and hung by your fucking neck, you disgusting piece of shit, you animal fucker.
Its biography also includes the hashtag LGBTZ, created
You fucking gross bastard. You better not even fucking put my shit near your gross ass. You absolute freak of nature. Fuck is wrong with you?
in a pathetic attempt to retcon these freaks into the LGBT community. However, Doug's final push for justice was his most infamous yet. On March 7th, 2019,
God.
a Twitter account named The Exposure Solution would tweet the following: "We have a problem. Animals are being taken advantage of every single day, and people are too ambivalent to do anything about it. Exposing zoophiles is the solution to the problem. We need to put them out where everyone can see them and expose them for what they really are. Zoophiles like to call people zoophobes when they call out their behavior. If you wear that title with pride, then join our hate party movement. We'll show zoos exactly how we feel about their sexuality." On March 20th, 2019, we will be launching a new podcast, the first of its kind, dedicated to exposing the zoo community for what it is.
W?
We want outrage. Help spread the word. We're going to start a movement and change the conversation forever. Join the hate party. How do you join the hate party? Easy. Use the hashtag hateparty tag on Twitter. Follow us and check out our site expose.id. Tell everyone exactly what you think about
Nice
zoophiles.
try, Diddy.
And of course, tune into the first episode of our podcast, The Exposure Solution, on March 20th. What can you expect from our podcast? Right off the bat, we'll be exposing a secret zoophile. Someone who's pretty famous, in fact. We'll have another one for you every single episode. So we hope you're ready to show your teeth, hashtag hate party. We want all ears tuned in on March 20th. Inevitably, that day would come, and the Exposure Solution would go public.
The first zoophile to be exposed is a household name in the fantasy community. He's even appeared in movies, on television, and has had roles in video games. This zoophile is... the Lord of Horses himself, Shadowfax!
You see, the Exposure Solution was actually the name of the first episode of the Zooier Than Thou podcast. The celebrity in question they sought to expose was Shadowfax, the non-fictional horse of Gandalf the Grey. All of this was done simply to draw the attention of zoophiles and their detractors. This supposed group of internet vigilantes, hell-bent on seeking justice for countless numbers of animals, was nothing more than a ruse. In reality, Douglas Spink was behind all of it. Under his infamous online moniker, Fausty, he used this fake Twitter account as a promotion
off,
for
man,
his
I don't
newest
want him.
project. With the help of his co-host, Toggle the Rat, the two intended to fight for the rights of zoophiles.
Ugh.
When we started this podcast, I had been several months previously diagnosed with terminal stage 4 metastatic malignant melanoma that had spread to my lungs.
Hopefully that shit would have taken you. But instead you're here fucking talking about like how it's okay to fuck animals, you creep. Wish you had cancer.
And this was really intended to a degree as my swan song and my last opportunity to give something back before I wrapped up shop and headed on to greener pastures.
Just about
Greener pastures, you're gonna be burning in hell. You fucking creep. I'm an atheist. If anything, I'm hoping that hell's real so that people like you could fucking burn in there.
But everyone familiar with Zooier Than Thou was well aware of Douglas Spink, earning himself a Kiwi Farms thread posted in November of 2018. Toggle the Rat, on the other hand, had no intentions of revealing his identity. Typically when posting selfies, Toggle used his iPhone's Memoji function to replace his head with a cartoon mouse. While this was successful in covering his face, it still left a trail of breadcrumbs that could potentially reveal his identity. In 2018, Toggle attended Midwest Fur Fest, posting multiple pictures of himself with friends at the convention. One photo in particular showed him out of his fursuit and in street clothes, wearing a gray zip-up hoodie, a black t-shirt, and a pair of glasses. People began searching for clues, eventually stumbling upon a photo posted by a user named Fink, featuring a man who fit the description, wearing a similar outfit and pair of glasses. Kiwi Farmers also managed to find a Twitter account for a Memphis-based animal rock band called Exit Mouse. They eventually stumbled across a video of their vocalist doing warm-ups, who looked identical to the man in the first photo. Both of these images also share a resemblance, with the avatar's Toggle publicly posted to his Twitter account, featuring short brown hair, patchy facial hair, and glasses. On top of this, both the Exit Mouse and Toggle the Rat Twitter accounts used the character creating software Hero Forge around the same time. Toggle also posted a picture of a new mask he had bought, which the lead singer of Exit Mouse also happened to own. While both of these could be pure coincidence, it certainly adds credence to the theory. As people dug deeper, they discovered a post made on Bandcamp in 2017, revealing the original name of the band was Husky in Denial, before changing it to Exit Mouse. During this era of the band, the vocalist's online moniker was Smooch This Pooch, demonstrated through archives of the band's Twitter. With this Twitter, Kiwi Farmers managed to find more pictures of the vocalist, along with pictures of his husband, Trevor. Most notably, however, the Husky in Denial Tumblr account was found, where the man carelessly doxed himself while showing off his new guitar strings, revealing his name as Buck Riley. This coincides with both his Twitter and for Affinity accounts identifying himself as Buck. While the new address in the photo was out of date, Buck's husband, Trevor, accidentally leaked their new address when venting his frustrations at Grubhub not delivering his Taco Bell on time. Kiwi Farms users were able to locate his new home on Google Maps and confirmed his residency with a Facebook post showing the front yard and unique metal lattice trim. This post in particular was also a crucial piece of evidence that Toggle the Rat was in fact Buck. Posted on February 18th of 2020, Trevor states that a stray dog was abandoned near their home and asked his followers if anyone would be willing to take him in. Coincidentally, 3 days later, Toggle the Rat posted about an abandoned dog that he and his husband had been taking care of. Another alternate alias, Clunk, was also discovered, as people found two posts that were nearly identical being posted by Husky in Denial and Chipmunk Clunk. This led investigators to find a list of fetishes posted by Clunk. These included age play, animals, grandfather/grandson, and underage characters. This also coincides with
so he was a
Buck's
pedophile too? Who would have thought? Someone who fucks animals is also into children.
and bizarre defense of cubs, which are underage furry characters. Eventually, through more digging, Kiwi Farmers were able to find out that Buck was only a nickname, with his real name being Charles Alexander Berry. Hypothetically, there is a chance that all of these parallels are simply a long string of unfortunate coincidences. However,
There's
is very
no fucking
unlikely to
way.
be the case. It seems that Toggle became aware of Doug through his Cross Species Alliance Twitter account. Their first encounter actually sparked a disagreement regarding the infamous zoo sadism leaks of September 2018, during which Toggle, at one point, referred to the account's admin as petulant. However, this insult would not sour the future relationship between the two. Shortly after, Toggle happened to begin reading Uniquely Dangerous when he noticed that the Cross Species Alliance was referenced in the book. He quickly put two and two together and realized that Doug Spink was behind the account.
Oh god.
In Maloney's description of the ransacked little shack that he lived in, that the words Cross Species Alliance was written on a whiteboard in the background. So I messaged him later and I was like, hey, is this account run by Doug Spink? And he was like, yeah, there's a few people that run this account, but it's me typing right now.
The two struck up a friendship, and eventually Doug would inquire about starting a podcast. Thus, Zooier Than Thou was born. A brief description on the show's website reads, Zooier Than Thou is yet another monthly podcast covering the zoophile community and all things zooey and wonderful, featuring current events, dating advice, and insider tips on rubbing shoulders with the Zooluminati elite, all with a great deal of silliness. Zooier Than Thou sets itself apart from the pack with an openly positive and joyful interpretation of what it is to be a zoophile. Hosts Fausti and Toggle bring two
Positive, you people should be fucking lined up and shot.
lifetimes of animal activism and cross-species romance to the mic, with the help of a dedicated cast and crew of Zooey talent. There may be hundreds
Fucking
of others
freaks.
out there doing the same thing, but Zooier Than Thou aims to do it the best. Zooier Than Thou is no different than Doug's other efforts to normalize his degenerate sexual interests, the main difference being the layer of irony and satire, likely used to shield himself from terms of service violations. A notable quote comes from the very first episode, where the two hosts explain the nuance of their self-described activism.
But in zoos, we've always known better, though. It's not about the humans, it's about everybody. So with this podcast, what we're really all about is celebrating primarily the non-human side of things.
Ugh.
Their agency, their wisdom, their
Fucking
interests,
freaks.
and above all else, the well-being of the non-humans that share our lives. They do deserve their own voice. More than that, they deserve to have their agency and their adulthood both respected and embraced.
So
Ugh.
true. And training animals is that they have no desires, no free will, no autonomy. It's dishonesty like that which allows us to tolerate heinous factory farm practices, to imprison and torture hundreds of millions of our sentient brethren.
That and more.
Ugh.
To castrate them, to mutilate them, to
You're putting your dick inside of one of them, you fucking creep.
literally cut off the adult parts of them. A purely non-consensual violence towards victims who are
Just piss it that now he can't get dicked down by a dog because its penis is gone.
completely unable to defend their own bodies from these attacks.
Defend their own bodies. You're fucking violating them too, you fucking creep.
All of these terrible, terrible things we do to other species serve to reinforce a frankly evil worldview that sees animals as sexless, powerless, childish, forever enslaved, quote-unquote, lower beings. Everything about that is just awful. We as zoos directly challenge the assumed separation of humans from everybody else who shares residency on this planet with us. As zoos, we undermine that imaginary distancing by truly and genuinely embracing our non-human colleagues as equals, as friends, as partners.
The irony
Oh
of
my
advocating
God.
for animals as helpless victims of attacks and castration, only to
Mm,
moments
as
later
he's
describe them
race-beating
as
them.
equal to human beings, is laughably stupid. Especially when you consider things like animal castration typically happen in the context of medical benefits. Food
Oh
production.
God.
Nothing positive comes from having sex with your dog. Logical fallacies are a staple of the Zooier Than Thou podcast, with a healthy dose of cope and cognitive dissonance. To be fair, this is unsurprising, considering it's pretty difficult to make a good faith effort to defend zoophilia. Zooier Than Thou also dedicates time to responding to fan mail in a segment called Ask Zooey. It's severely unlikely that any of this mail is actually real, considering the first bit of mail they read was written by a dog, in their words. In this
Oh my
section,
God.
the two hosts dedicate time to essentially joking about the abuse of animals, in the same way that a regular human might joke about normal sex.
Our first letter today comes from Nutty in Nova Scotia. Nutty writes, Dear Zooey, I love my human dearly, and recently we've decided to take that to the next level.
Oh my God.
I've discovered he has a very strange fetish for peanut butter, and I simply don't understand. I try to indulge him,
Ugh.
but the peanut butter just gets stuck to my gums, and I end up licking my teeth more than I'm
Ugh.
licking his junk. And what's worse, by the time I finally finished cleaning it off him, he slathered even more onto
Ugh.
his balls. I want to make my human happy, but I don't know how much longer I can stand the taste of peanuts. What should I do?
Ah, yes. Peanut butter
You should kill yourself for fucking reading that, you creep.
is a common fetish for humans.
Indeed. You hear about it in movies and TV all the time.
Well, Nutty, it might seem awkward, but perhaps it's best to sit your human down and have an honest talk about his peanut butter
God.
fetish. Often, humans believe that their partners love the taste, and by continuing to indulge him by licking it off, you're
Oh my
accidentally
God.
reinforcing this expectation.
It's very uncanny to see how desensitized these individuals are to their disgusting habits. They also use this segment to go into graphic detail about how to coerce animals, which for obvious reasons I won't be showing you. But the real
Oh my
cherry on
God.
top for these podcasts are the sponsored segments. You may be asking, who
Who
would
the
sponsor
fuck
a
is
podcast like
sponsoring this?
And the answer is no one. The sponsorships are fake. These sponsored segments, much like their Ask Zooey segment, are satirical ad placements for fake companies and businesses who also indulge in the exploitation of animals.
Looking to spice up your night with an unforgettable experience? Come on down to Tijuana Tommy's. Tommy's delivers what we assume is an authentic Tijuana experience. Tamales, sports, and live talkie shows. Visit us every weeknight from 5 to 8 for our happy hour drink special.
Should be fucking shot.
It's likely that Toggle and Doug loaded their podcast to the brim with jokes and irony to feign some sort of satirical identity and avoid the repercussions of YouTube's terms of service.
Yeah, no
this
shit.
doesn't work too well for anyone familiar with Doug in particular, as he has a long online paper trail indicating he means everything he says.
Yeah, he's a
Most
fucking
of the
creep.
episodes in this podcast follow a similar structure, with a solid chunk dedicated to quote-unquote parody, and the rest dedicated to genuine advocacy for zoophilia. That being said, it's important to highlight and dissect some of these specific talking points and notable events of the show's history. One event that happened 5 months before the podcast starting up were the aforementioned Zoosadism leaks of September 2018. It all started when a Twitter user by the name of Zoodonym uploaded a thread exposing a handful of prominent furries as Zoosadists. Some of these names include Zyro, Techno Husky, and Kiro the Wolf. Attached to these tweets were chat logs and videos featuring various animals being tortured and abused. Zoodonym was a zoophile themselves, who claimed to be disgusted by the actions,
Oh my
messages,
God.
and videos shared in various Telegram chat rooms they frequented.
You are
see,
fucking
Zoodonym
dogs!
claims that zoophiles who have relations with animals are totally fine, while on the other hand he calls out zoosadists, which are people who derive pleasure from physically maiming animals. Doug himself
Dude, what the fuck are you on? You're fucking them. Oh my god, these fucking creeps, dude. They'll think of anything to justify their disgusting things, the disgusting shit they do. As I take another hitter of my 1-2. Put some pants on. So I can like just lay back on my bed and stream this shit. These fucking creeps, dude. Holy shit.
makes his hatred of zoosadists no secret.
Zoosadism, by definition, is the torture of other beings in order to derive pleasure from the pain they experience. This is one of the most horrible, most evil, most fucking disgusting things that human beings can do.
Yeah, oh yeah, but you fucking that dog isn't
no
worse.
clinical or documented connection between zoosadism, which revolves around pain and misery, and is not sexual in any meaningful sense, and zoophilia.
Why the fuck would they do research on that? Who the fuck is asking those questions besides you fucking creeps, who are also abusing animals? You guys are disgusting pieces of human trash. Oh my god. Shit's just making me more mad watching it.
Which is a sexual orientation and involves reciprocal intimacy between adults who choose to engage in sexual relations with each other.
The reality is, as much as he postures about it, Doug doesn't actually care about animals in the way he'd like you to believe. His history of
course he
pimping out
doesn't.
his self-described lovers and putting
Yeah, he pimped out that golden.
knives to their throats is the greatest indication of that. Rather, his hatred of zoosadists likely comes from the bad smell they leave behind. Doug attempts to promote zoophilia as a normal and healthy sexuality, and claims the existence of zoosadists do nothing but accelerate anti-zoo rhetoric. Yet, Doug was
Oh, so he's using that one method that every fucked up group uses. I gotta get some water. I'll be right back.
I personally hope that Kiro can survive this terrible episode.
Oh my
and
god.
whatever his strengths or failings as a person and as a young man in the community at large, that he can use this experience to become stronger, wiser, and more compassionate in the future.
Doug prefers that zoosadists be dealt with privately and quietly, likely because any negative attention drawn to them will also reflect on zoophiles. Despite claiming to be disgusted with zoosadism, he intentionally avoids getting the police involved when dealing with them.
I've already disclosed my own history in working with ad hoc groups to address zoosadists in the past. For us, it's simple. It wasn't about getting lauded publicly or getting people arrested or getting people ostracized from the...
Yeah, because you know if you got somebody arrested and they look at your shit too, you fucking creep. You know you're fucking them animals, dude. You know what you're doing is wrong, but yet you're still doing it because you're a fucking entitled creep, you fucking monster.
Community.
I hope you get swung by the gallows.
Sure these people could never hurt another animal ever again.
Yeah, so you can get more animals to hurt yourself, you fucking creep.
Now, short of that goal, we would deem our efforts to be a failure. That's pretty simple, isn't it? The reason you go after zoosadism isn't because they, quote, make us look bad, or because it's fun to chase people around, or because you don't want them bringing heat on you by being around. No. You do it because they're monsters. They hurt others for pleasure. That's just so damn clear.
And
That's
to
what you're
animal
doing.
lovers, that really does seem
If
like...
you heard of this for pleasure, you're fucking the shit out of these poor animals for pleasure. You get pleasure out of touching these things, you creep. You're the last person who should be talking about. Fuck is
like the reasonable benchmark for the success of a project like this.
Okay, so using that as a benchmark, let's take a look at last fall's Zoostatus leaks and determine just how successful they were. Because some of the zoos who were really, really close to all this, they claim they were infiltrating all this Zoostatus talk, but I have my own personal concerns about how they ended up so tangled up in the middle of all this as zoos because, I don't know, me personally, I never seem to get tangled up with Zoostatus, you know?
In reality, his concerns with zoosadism is nothing more than half-hearted virtue signaling, all done in a pathetic attempt to posture zoophiles as morally righteous animal lovers. This sentiment of zoophilia being all about love is heavily expanded on in the 4th episode of the podcast. With Doug absent, likely busy with his cancer treatment, Toggle conducts a solo interview with a person named...
that shit takes his fucking life by the end of this. That creep deserves to die. He's fucking molesting those Goldens. Okay.
Kion supposedly had been in the earliest days of the internet. It was during this time that he was producing content featuring animals and posting it online for other people who like that stuff to see. Funnily enough, during this episode, the hosts themselves go on to discuss how there are many moral complications that can come with traditional human-on-human sex work. And they go on to discuss the various philosophical quandaries that come with involving animals and such a thing. This is where Kion tries to make a distinction between bestialism and zoophilia.
Bestialist is very much the physical aspect.
Oh my god, they came up with a word for animal fuckers.
It's titillating because it's a dog. That there's an interest in sticking a dick in something or receiving a fucking from an animal.
My god.
That's exciting and novel because it's an animal. Rather than having formed any sort of relationship with the animal of trust and familiarity. You can't jump.
So basically what separates you from these people is the fact that you're spending time with the animal that you're about to rape. You fucking animal rapists. You guys are a bunch of creeps and you deserve the death penalty for the shit you do.
Jump a fence and screw a dog and consider that to be really much more than bestialism.
In essence, according to him, bestialism is a simple fetish for animals on the basis of the novelty of doing stuff with them, as opposed to zoophilia, where he claims that love is the central focus and sex is just a byproduct. This is ironic, as Kion later goes on to reminisce about his dog Zane, a supposed love of his life that he used to pimp out and use in various videos he produced. It's very clear to people like Doug and Kion that animals are a commodity to be used for profit and lust, quite different from an average human-on-human relationship. As mentioned previously, Doug has frequently tried to retcon zoophiles into the LGBT movement. This comes along with the duo referring to anti-zoo sentiments as bigoted, and referring to those who oppose their lifestyle as zoophobes. Much like this,
guess I'm a fucking zoophobe because I'm not gonna
Speaking personally,
be on the same side of history as a guy who's fucking dogs.
On the topic of Zoo Pride. In addition to the wonderful diversity of views on what Zoo Pride means to each of us, the overall zeitgeist of the
I'm not going to
community,
support a pedophile for
the pride
dogs.
in our collective pride, as it were, comes through in each and every one of these submissions.
Social justice is a frequent talking point in the podcast as well, even referencing supposed misogyny within the zoo community.
I don't know that men are more harshly criticized as much as women are completely erased from the idea of what it means to be a zoo in the eyes of bigots.
God.
There's definitely some weird misogynistic bigotry and hatred that underlies so much of this.
All of this is very intentional. Crafting actual arguments as to why their sexuality is okay is obviously impossible. It's much easier to reuse the rhetoric from LGBT spaces to create as many parallels as possible to something recognizable. Many understand and sympathize with the plight of gay people in society, and Zooier Than Thou attempts to
we're
promote
fucking each other,
zoophilia
we're not
as a social
fucking
justice
defenseless
cause only a few
animals.
steps behind. Doing this postures those who oppose them as equivalent to homophobes, and would put them on the wrong side of history in Doug's eyes. When called out for their non-consensual acts against animals, they project onto those who criticize them, ironically accusing them of projection and questioning their understanding of sex.
I really have a problem with sex in general being seen as like a violent act. An act of asserting one's power.
You're raping a defenseless animal, you fucking creep.
Well, let's note that the people who are making assertions of sex as a violent act, what does that tell us about?
We're not making assertions that it's a violent act. We're just saying you're violating a fucking animal, because that's what you're doing. The animal cannot give fucking consent. It's an animal, you creep.
The people making those assertions.
Yeah. Right.
And those people then project that disgusting.
It's simple. You're fucking disgusting. That's what we're saying. You're a fucking disgusting being, and you need to be shot. Or fucking buried alive. Oh my god, he had like a whole fucking farm where he was just sitting around just fucking these dogs like a creep.
Broken a view of intimacy onto us, and it has nothing to do with us. It has to do with them in some weird way making their behavior real and then attacking it in some way, attacking themselves and something, and in the meantime we're sitting here shrugging our shoulders like, what the hell is that about?
Rather than advocating for themselves in a good faith manner, Zooier Than Thou seeks to gaslight his detractors into believing that they are simply ignorant and hateful bigots who are projecting and don't have any real good reasons to dislike them. One group of people in particular who have been vocal against zoophiles is the furry community.
Thank God.
The stereotype amongst those in the furry fandom is that they harbor a secret attraction to real-life animals. This negative stereotype has compelled many furries to actively speak out against this animal activity and make their grievances with those who harm them known.
See?
The host
Not
of
all
Zooier
furries
Than Thou,
are creeps. Everyone has their fucked up members in their community.
Hand, believe this is simply a shame-riddled attempt to hide the true nature of their sexuality.
Furries have always been considered like strawmanned as zoophiles, and that breeds a certain resentment in our community towards zoophiles. Even while, like, you know, I'm just using this loosely, but like half the people in the fandom are zoophiles. Even though that's the case, there's a strong desire to separate themselves from zoos, and in that strong desire, the persecution becomes more heated.
But because they could not be out as...
Furries like dressing up. You guys are actively going out of your way to fuck animals and you're trying to justify it, you fucking creeps.
Zoos, they used furry in part as a kind of subterfuge in case anybody...
No, they just like dressing up as fucking animals. That's it. That's like, it's that simple. They're Ethereans. You guys are fucking them. What is wrong with you?
Was suspicious of them if anybody wanted to accuse them of, you know, being dog fuckers or something.
This is a common theme in all of the talking points frequently used in the podcast. Zoos are never the ones to blame. It's everyone else's fault but their own. This belief is further exemplified by the host's insistent rants about a man named Randy Zoobuster Pepe. Randy was a supposedly reformed zoophile who turned on the community and outed as many people as he could in the late 90s. And Doug was supposedly one of his victims. In a thread posted to Toggle's Twitter account, he shares a very interesting take on Randy's involvement with the current stigma around zoophiles. He claims that Randy single-handedly spawned the hatred that zoophiles face today. It was his original idea that having sex with animals was bad, and no one else thought it was the case until he convinced them. He even supposedly crafted the quote-unquote false paradigm that animals can't consent. That's right, guys, we've all been unknowingly brainwashed by this one guy from the 90s. We're the weird ones, we're the bigots, we're the deranged lunatics degrading animals, not the zoophiles, no. And it's all Randy Zoobuster's fault.
It's the people that are actively saying that sticking their penises is wrong. Stop fucking animals, dude. You're fucking insane. Stop trying to be a victim. You're not a victim in this situation. You're victimizing you. You're even pimping them out. What the fuck is wrong with you? You can't be a victim if you're pimping out animals.
Now's first season is 24 long, excruciating episodes, chock full of delusion and projection. Rarely, if not ever, do they make actual arguments as to why animals are capable of consent. Rather, they spend a majority of their time talking about how hard their lives are and blaming everyone else for not understanding them, all while throwing in a healthy pinch of buzzwords and social justice quips to feign some sort of intellectual and important discourse.
These guys are fucking losers, dude. Ugh. Accepted by society as they're in their fucking goon caves raping their dogs. These people deserve to be shot in the street. I don't know how many times I'm gonna say it. These people just deserve the worst of the worst. This is what mob mentality used to be about. We used to go around just killing these people. Where is that version of mob mentality?
Doug's death was looming over him throughout the entire podcast. He was frequently absent in a few episodes, often dealing
with... The justice system has failed here. The fact that this guy got out on multiple occasions shows that's fucked, man. It's so fucked.
With complications due to his chemo treatments.
I am currently in between chemotherapy treatments. The last protocol I was on, toxic side effects built up to the point where we had...
Shit, hopefully it takes your fucking life, you creep. Oh, hope the chemo takes your fucking life.
Stop. And I have not started the next protocol yet. So I am off chemo right now for the first time in many months.
According to Doug, he was also not taking his oral chemotherapy behind his oncologist's back.
Over the summer, I almost died in June, again from chemo, not actually from cancer. I have been off chemo since June 20th. Don't tell my oncologist because he doesn't actually know.
His initial diagnosis was evolving rapidly. The cancer traveled from his skin into his lymph nodes, which then spread to his lungs and trachea. An already difficult cancer to beat was now an inevitable death sentence. This leads us to January 24th of 2020, when Doug's husband, Zeman Depo, would announce that Douglas Spink had passed away. In episode 11.5 of the Zooier Than Thou podcast, Doug's husband would also further...
We gotta get some claps. We gotta get some claps in the chat for that one. Where's my fucking Where'd my mouse drop at? Fuck, did I drop my mouse? No. Yeah, and I'm gonna have to like look for it. Oh, my clap track. Okay, I found my mouse.
expand on the death of his late husband.
Knowing and loving Doug was the best thing that ever happened to me. And I know that he touched a lot of people's lives.
Touched a lot of animals too.
The thing he did was to, as you say, choose the hard battle. He stood for all of us, whether they wanted him to or not. He always stood morally upright, whether keeping the confidence of any zoo who
pimped out
spoke
animals.
To him,
The fuck is wrong with you?
That we are zoos, we are here, and we are creatures too, and deserve to love and be loved in return.
What kind of fucked up logic do they live off of? Dude, they've been like huffing galaxy gas if they think this is reasonable. What is wrong with you fucking people?
Turn in all aspects.
This episode features a plethora of friends, colleagues, and fans of the podcast who shared their thoughts on Doug.
Who the fuck is a fan of this shit?
Maloney. If there was any doubt she sympathized with Doug Pryor, going out of her way to give a remembrance of him certainly proves otherwise.
An outspoken and controversial figure, he garnered worldwide attention.
Oh my god.
He was adored by some just as he was hated by others, and that was fine with him.
Clearly he was adored by you too, bitch. You wrote a whole book about how it's okay to fuck animals, you creep. I hope you get shot too.
In all of history, until the end of time,
Luigi needs to slide back on you and P. Diddy.
There will never be another story or another person quite like this one.
Oh no, they're still out there. This creep has inspired entire generations of fucking other creeps to go out there and fuck their dogs, you creeps.
Doug, of course, would also share his thoughts about Doug, establishing what he believes his legacy should be.
I think he'd want to be remembered for being just one of many positive forces in his community. One that inspired others to be more positive and to do all the things he couldn't do in his lifetime. Those of us
like Pimp
at
Animals
Zooey
out
Now
again?
who knew him in person will remember him as strikingly genuine and sharp-witted. He was warm and kind.
Genuine and warm about fucking animals.
He cultivated an undying sense of hope.
Undying sense of hope that he can fuck another animal.
Many of us couldn't see at first, and he helped us share that hope for a better future with our entire community.
Better future where he could fuck animals and not have cancer. But guess what? The Big C took his bitch ass. Let's go. W's in the chat.
Following Doug's death, previously special guest of the podcast stepped into a more permanent role. To this day, the Zooier Than Thou podcast continues to upload to YouTube. Despite being previously taken down, new accounts were quickly created with no issue. It seems like for the time being, YouTube negligently allows this podcast to continue to exist. After the legal system consistently failed to put a stop to Doug's endless reign of chaos and abuse, cancer would save the day. While many celebrated his death, there were, of course, many like-minded freaks who mourned his passing. The most chilling aspect about Doug's life was the countless number of zoophiles who truly believed Doug Spink was a civil rights activist fighting for a just cause. A man who led a life of constant abuse and violence is fondly remembered by many as a hero. Make no mistake, Douglas Brian Spink was a mentally deranged animal abuser, no matter how hard he tried to convince others or himself that he wasn't. Even at a young age, he hated himself for the feelings he had, only deciding to indulge under the guise of self-acceptance. The man who claimed his love for animals was healthy had no problem pimping them out to other sick freaks and putting their lives in danger. His cross-species activism was nothing more than a pathetic attempt to excuse the monster he truly was. Doug existed in an eternal state.
He's definitely burning in hell with fucking Jeffrey Epstein and all those other fucking pedophiles.
Of delusion, and he died the same exact way.
Let's fucking go.
As one Kiwi Farms user puts it,
good thing cancer took his bitch ass so he wouldn't be able to pimp those animals anymore.
Are people who have sex with animals. You've lived a wasted and useless life.
Exactly.
I've been Turkey Tom. Thanks for watching, and until next time, leave me alone.
What a W fucking video. This is some music. Thank you for watching the video. I appreciate it. I don't know what else to ask for. Like, subscribe. I would appreciate it a lot. I plan on posting more content eventually. I'm just gonna need a little bit of time to compile shit together and edit. But I'm gonna be doing clips right as soon as this video posts. I'm probably gonna post a couple clips afterwards. I would appreciate it if you like, subscribe, do that stuff. Thank you, and I'm glad to see that asshole died of cancer. What a fitting way to go out. Hopefully the other guy gets what he deserves too. Thank you very much for, watching the video.